Well, good morning again. You know, they always told me that the second baby was the easiest. And they lied, okay? Honestly, they set me up, okay? Everybody who said that, maybe even some of you, you lied to me. And I get why you say it, right? I get it because, you know, it's easier because you know what to expect. You know what you're getting into. It's not like a surprise. It's not the first time that you're encountering things. That first pregnancy, you're just scared, like all the time. You know, I went through it during COVID, and it was just extra fear on top of fear. Everything was a first. And that fear just leads to this anxiety, right? What if this happens? And what if this happens? And I read that 1 out of every 1,000 babies has this happen. You're just sure that you're going to be the one, and it just leads to this spirit of like uptightness and anxiety. And it's because you don't know, right? You're a first at this. And you want to be the first parent of all time to get it all right and to be perfect across the board. You want to be that 10 out of 10 parent, and pretty quickly you find out that's not really going to be the case. And in that desire, you plan it all out. Like you've got a plan for everything. You read all the books and you watch every single video and you buy every single thing that you could ever think that you might need. The registry is so long that you can't even scroll all the way to the end. And then the baby comes. You know, Mike Tyson, the famous boxer, he used to say, everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth. And that's kind of what happens when that first baby comes, right? Very quickly that plan, it starts to fade, and you learn that all that preparation, well, it didn't really prepare you. Yeah. And the second baby is supposed to be easier, right? Nothing should surprise you anymore. You've already experienced it, right? All the blowouts, all the nastiness that comes along with parenting, right? You've seen it all before. And you should know what worked and what just didn't work. You should know what you used and what was just a colossal waste of money, right? Don't need that this time. You know, a couple weeks ago, we went to Texas and we visited Jamila's sister, and she had just had a baby, right? Beautiful soul. And we got to experience all of this first-time parenting up close, right? All the things that she was worried about, all of these things that she collected. And it was just too much. You know, as a first-time parent, I imagined that I would have been looking around the room and all the things, and I would have said, whoa, I need that. I need that. But me being the second-time parent, you know, I was just thinking about how much money could have been diverted to like a college fund or something. Like, is it all necessary? Like, what is the purpose of a baby wipe warmer? Like, I get it, right? It must be so nice, right? Who wouldn't want a warm wipe, right? I thought that I wanted to invest in one in my house, maybe, but then I thought about it in practical use, right? Like, what happens the first time you have to change that diaper somewhere away from home? When that cold, wet wipe just... So it should be easier the second time, right? But here's the thing, it's just not. It's just not. You spend far less time thinking about all the things that don't matter because you've proved that you can keep a child alive. Right? You've already proved it, you've proved positive, right? But now the question is, can you make a child thrive? That's a much bigger question. It's easy to keep them alive, right? You just feed them, let them get some sunlight every once in a while, be all right. But will they thrive? It's a lot of pressure. And so this pregnancy, Jamila and I, we decided we didn't want to know what the baby's going to be. And it sounds exciting, right? Like, ooh, it'll be a surprise. But the truth is, pretty much as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, you start assigning a gender anyway. And so she's convinced it's a boy, and I'm convinced it's the girl. And you go back and forth, you start thinking through names and all this stuff, right? And the truth is, we don't know what it's going to be, right? And so somebody, when that baby's born, is just going to be a little disappointed, right? Somebody's going to be wrong. And it presents problems. Like, if I'm honest with you, legitimately, this is true. Last night was the very first time that I even thought about, like, buying clothes or anything for the baby. Like, I just didn't even think about it. And then I'm like, well, what do I buy? Like, I don't know what it's going to be. So, we can't just wait until the baby's born and then buy stuff. Like, we have to have something, right? And I didn't sleep well last night. I was just thinking about all these things, right, that I just didn't even think about. I hadn't even crossed my mind, because I was thinking about big problems, right? Where's the baby going to go to college? How much is it going to cost for the baby to go to college? In 2100 or whatever, right? And then I started thinking about names, right? I've got these different names that are rattling around my brain. But the truth is, like, you spend more time thinking about the names that you absolutely don't want than the names that you're settled on, right? You think about the names that are like, oh, I know a person with that name, don't like them, can't be that one. Dated a person with that name, can't be that name. Right? You think about all those things, right? And so it makes picking a name tough, on top of not knowing what the baby's going to be, right? Then you think about those names that just have pressure attached to them, right? Like the people that decide to name their baby like Jesus, it's Jesus, right? Probably not going to live up to that one, right? And then I think about the toughest, right? Like I think about girls named Joy. You know any Joys? Oh, what a life that must be. It's tougher than Grace, I think. We give Grace a little grace, right? But Joy, better have it. Better, right? The truth is, joy is something we just don't experience as often as possible. So I want you to listen to this psalm, and I want you to listen to it with joy on your mind. Psalm is 138. Thank you. Everything in me says, thank you. Angels listen as I sing my thanks. I kneel in worship, facing your holy temple, and say it again. Thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your faithfulness. Most holy is your name. Most holy is your word. The moment I called out, you stepped in. You made my life large with strength. When they hear what you have to say, God, all earth's kings will say thank you. They'll sing of what you've done, how great the glory of God. And here's why. God, high above, sees far below. No matter the distance, he knows everything about us. When I walk into the thick of trouble, keep me alive in the angry turmoil. With one hand, strike my foes. With your other hand, save me. Finish what you started in me, God. Your love is eternal. Don't quit on me now. In the midst of the world and the busyness of our daily lives, I think we miss out on joy. I really do. I think we miss out on what the presence of God does and ultimately means for our lives. I want you to raise your hand if you think that faith is work. Raise your hand. It's hard work, isn't it? The work of our hands is an investment in God. It's an investment in our growth and our progress, right? But what is it for? Like really at the core, what is it for? Why are we doing all of this work? It doesn't really mean anything if we aren't experiencing joy. And there's this piece of the psalm that every time I read it, it just jumps out and it says, hey, look at me. You made my life large with strength. What does it mean for our lives to be made large? For me, I can't think about it any other way than joy, right? That I might be swelling with joy, that my life might be full to the brim with joy. And it's hard to fathom that in this world. If you really get down to the nuts and bolts of it, right? It's hard to fathom that in faith even. Because you're the ones that hear, right? You're here week after week after week, and you're committed to the process, obviously. You've shown yourself to be those people. committed to growth and to evolving into the person that God called you to be. And that process is painful sometimes. Sometimes more often than not. It doesn't always feel good. And sometimes you come in here and it feels like I beat you up. It just does. It feels like I pushed and I pulled on your spirit, like I poked and I prodded and I called you out. And friends, I make no apologies for that. Okay? That's what I'm supposed to do. But in the midst of all that refining, in the midst of all of that steel, strengthening steel, let's not forget the point of all of that. Let's not forget that even in the struggles of this life, even when we face adversity, that God makes our lives large. That we're not called to live these little tiny lives. That we're supposed to be made large. You know, a couple of nights ago, we were at a friend's house. They went over for dinner, and we were sitting on the patio eating the dinner, and our kids were playing on the patio. And the kids were just running around, and they were laughing and screaming, and they were having so much fun. It was so beautiful. I just sat back and I said, there's so much joy in these moments, right? Where we can listen to the birds. There were owls out. And bats. I don't know what a bat sounds like, but I learned. There was laughter. There was good food and great company. And it just felt like joy. It reminded me that is God's plan. It's God's plan on display right in front of us, right? To experience joy by an outpouring of love. That's all joy is. And in those moments, my spirit felt incredibly large, right? It felt filled to the brim with joy. It was so precious and so pure. But the moment that I started to fuss about how late it got, about how tired the kids must be, about all the stuff that I had to do the next day, the moment that I stepped out of the present, joy was gone. I don't know if it went next door or where it went, but joy was nowhere to be found. My friends, I'm not going to lie to you. We've got work to do, right? We can all acknowledge that on a personal level, on a community level, right? We got wounds to heal. We got trauma that we've been carrying, right? There's an excavation of our spirits that's necessary to make room for God. There's a mass healing. It just has to happen. This trauma that we just carried for too long, we didn't give enough attention to, all of that is real. But at the same time, God, and only God, can fill our lives. Only God. Only God can take our meager plans and make them into something that's so great and so beautiful, into something worthwhile. And only God can make our lives large. I know that life can be hard, that we all have moments where life just knocks us off our feet. We have to struggle to get up, to get moving again. I know that you've experienced these seasons in your life where you had so much stuff going on you didn't even think you could smile, let alone experience joy. Didn't feel like you could be present in the moment because the moment just felt so incredibly overwhelming. Where joy, love, and God were the last thing on your mind. But the truth is, the night is always darkest right before the dawn, right? Heard that time and time again. And in those moments of fear, those moments of doubt, our call to God is finish what you started in me. And what God started in you was joy, was love, was a peace that radiated from your spirit. And to tell you the truth, I don't know that I'm brave enough to name a child Joy. Probably not. But I do know that I can be brave enough to wear it for myself, to carry it wherever I go, to choose joy in the moment, and allow myself to sit in the presence of God. Because in life, there is so much joy. And in joy, there's love. And in love, there is always God. From Psalm 16, I bless the Lord who gives me counsel. In the night also my heart instructs me. I keep the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Therefore, my heart is glad, and my soul rejoices. My body also rests secure. For you do not give me up to Sheol, or let your faithful one see the pit. You show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. In your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Thanks be to God.
These are your thoughts, dictator. This is the hope of God set free. These are your thoughts.